Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today, it is the middle of summer. It is the middle of like harvest season. So much fresh produce. And I was looking for something to make and realized that we've been putting away all of these vegetables and we haven't really cooked any recently on the channel. So I looked through my cookbooks and I found something that I had almost everything to go ahead and make. So today we are going to be making butterbean hummus with charred okra and marinated peppers. There are 4 components to this recipe. None of them are really all that difficult, but different things that you kind of put together. But they're, 4 components plus one other recipe. So this uses stewed fresh butter beans, which I will have posted before this, but I have not made yet because I'll make that next. But the first component that we are making, and if I didn't say so, I don't think I did. This is from Deep Run Roots, Vivian Howard's cookbook. That's been out for quite a while. One of the very first cookbooks I started working with on this channel. And I was looking through the okra section, and I've made almost all of the recipes in the okra section except for like pickled okra, and I don't want to make that really. And it's pickled okra with corn, and I don't have a vessel for that. I'm just not ready for that. So this one has okra in it, and butter beans. And we've recently put up butter beans. We blanched them and froze them. Today I'm going to be using some that I made last year, so we still had a couple left from last year, but so I'm using some of those today, but we have fresh ones and we made a little short, so hopefully I'll be able to link that up here. Otherwise it'll be linked somewhere, or you can go look at the shorts on my channel of how we did that in case you're interested in doing that yourself. But the first component we need to make for this recipe is garlic confit. So this is just garlic cooked in olive oil in the oven for, she says, about 45 minutes. So I've got quite a lot of garlic in this small ramekin. I think the point is for this to basically cover the garlic cloves. I don't know if it will, but doing the best I can. I did not take the woody ends tops off of these, but they are peeled. And before I do that, I'm going to try to stick this thyme into underneath so it's not just sort of poking out and getting burnt. We want it to flavor the oil and the garlic here. So I'm going to kind of stick all that inside as much as I can. And then I'm just going to pour the oil. This should be extra virgin olive oil. It's nothing super special. It's just what I use generally for cooking and stuff. I don't usually care too much about it being super duper special, but use what you like. So that is just about perfect for covering it and not overflowing my ramekin. So that's great. And now we're going to cover it with some aluminum foil. I've got it on this baking sheet so that it is easier to put in and take out of the oven. So we're just going to put this in the oven and let it sit there for 45 minutes at 350 degrees. She says at the end, the garlic will be a toasted blonde color and quite soft. So we'll show you what that looks like in about 45 minutes. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. My garlic is super soft. It did boil over a little bit. I should have probably gone for a slightly larger ramekin, but anyway, this is fine. She says you can store this in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks, and when you use it, use equal parts oil and garlic cloves. So I will pull out I'll probably pull out the thyme before I put it in the refrigerator because it'll be a lot easier to pull out while everything is warm versus cold. But that's our garlic confit. We'll be back to show you the rest in just a minute. So I think we're all ready to make our butterbean hummus because we needed the garlic confit for that. These are supposed to be cooled. They're not super hot. They are, but they're not super cool either, but that's okay. So first I'm going to put in my stewed fresh butter beans. I'll link those up there. And I have drained them. I assume I do not need all of this cooking liquid. So, but just in case I need some, I decided to keep it. So we've got our butter beans in here. We're adding pretty much all of the garlic confit that we made. That's some garlicky stuff here. Although it's very mellow when it's roasted like that. Now we are adding garlic oil all over our hands. But now we're going to add, we're going to use this to measure our lemon juice. Fresh lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice. I don't have quite enough here. I think I do, but if I don't, I have more. We're going to call that good. Good for me. Good enough for me. We have some more olive oil. She says olive oil for finishing, which means use the good stuff. I don't have any particularly good stuff right now, so we're using the same stuff. That's a lot of olive oil. We're going to use some tahini, which is a sesame seed paste. I got mine in a squeezable bottle, which I really like. So it's a little bit thinner than tahini sometimes is. And now I'm going to use this measuring device to measure some honey. That's good. All right. Oh, I forgot a couple ingredients. First we need salt, and now it is, she says there's a range for salt here. We're going to start at the low end, and because we can always add more. I'm using kosher salt. Need some cayenne. I swear I had a different container of this, but apparently it's gone. So make sure I'm putting the right amount in. Hopefully not too much for my family. We'll see. And now here's a question. This calls for some water. Should I use the water from the cooking liquid, or should I just use water? I think I'm going to go with plain water. So let me get a measuring device. Good enough. I'm just going to put this water in. Now we're going to whir this up. She says about 3 minutes, or until it is really, really smooth and the skins are broken down. And then if you don't like it, if you have some skins and you don't like it, you can pass it through a fine mesh sieve. We're probably not going to bother with that, but 3 minutes of loud noise. Hasn't been that long, but I'm going to sort of wipe down the edges, make sure we're getting everything incorporated, and I'm going to give it a taste. to see if I want to add a little more salt at this point. It's good. I think I'm going to say no on more salt. I think it's good. So a little more time. Just going to give it one more little wipe down, and a little more time, and then we'll be done. All right, I'm going to call that good enough. Probably been about 3 minutes. Now, that's our butterbean hummus. We still have 2 more components to make for this dish, but this is served at room temperature, so I'm gonna find a bowl or something to put this in just to store it, because we're gonna serve it on a nice platter with some stuff, but we'll see you when we're ready to make the next component. Okay, the next thing we're gonna be making is the charred okra. My husband's gonna cook that on the grill, probably in a grill basket, but the goal for these is for them to be like 2/3 charred. You can do it on the grill, on a grill pan, or on a cast iron skillet in here. But before we do that, we need to add some things to it. Oh, not this. That's for a different thing. We're gonna add some salt. Now these okra are whole. They looked really good, but they're supposed to be small to medium, and mine are some pretty large. So they might be a little stringy for this application once they're done, but we're adding a little bit of cayenne. I'm not measuring very accurately right there for that, but I'm gonna measure this. So we're gonna add some extra virgin olive oil, and then we're just going to toss it up. So, yeah, you can't really see, but I'm going to toss this, and then when he's ready, he will char these on the grill. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of video of that process, but really we're just trying to give them a lot of color. Yeah, that is it for these. I'm going to let them sit until they're ready to be charred. They probably will pull out a little bit of the liquid because, you know, pre-salting things does that. Oh, I did like trim off the tips if they were yucky, and the ends, the stem ends, if they were kind of brown. But other than that, they're entirely whole. So hopefully we'll show you the grill step, and pretty soon we will show you the marinated peppers for our butterbean hummus with charred okra and marinated peppers, and that will be the last thing we need to make. Okay. Making the last component for our butterbean hummus, we're making the marinated peppers. We have, I'm making approximately half a recipe of these because I don't need all of them, but I'm going to use all of the marinade because whatever, it's going to be the same. I'm going to add some, I'm going to do the olive oil first because that was the last thing that I used for this. Some olive oil. This is supposed to be the good olive oil. I'm using the same stuff for everything. It's fine. I'm going to use some balsamic vinegar. She says to use aged. Again, the good stuff. It's the balsamic vinegar that I have. And some finely chopped fresh parsley. That's about right. There we go. And some salt. Hope I have enough in here. Good enough. I'm gonna have to refill that. Okay, and then we're just going to mix this up. I'm using some red and green peppers because that's what I have. I would have preferred mostly red, maybe some yellow or orange for color, but you know, you use what you have. So all I have to do is let this sit for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We'll let it sit for as long as we have until everything's ready to eat. So in just a minute, we will plate it all up, show you what it looks like. We're basically going to use these as sort of like gravy on top of the hummus. Just nestle it in on top and put the okra all around to use for dipping. I also made some flatbreads too, so hopefully those will turn out really well. Yeah, that's it. We'll let you know what we think in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make butterbean hummus with charred okra and marinated peppers from Vivian Howard's Deep Run Roots, which is a great book for fresh produce recipes. So it's the middle of summer and I've definitely found myself turning to this book again and getting some of the recipes that we haven't made yet. And I had looked through the okra section and I'd made pretty much everything except for I think pickled okra in that section, but I had not made this recipe, which includes the charred okra, but because it's in the beans and peas section, which I hadn't worked out of all that much. So first off, I love the butterbean hummus. I'm not sure I could have said for sure that it was made with butter beans, but it was smooth, it was delicious, it was very garlicky. I didn't end up needing to strain out any bits of the skin from the butter beans in mine. It really got very, very smooth in the food processor, and that was not a problem at all for us. We were very sad that it used the entire recipe of the garlic confit, and I think we'll be probably making that again soon. I don't know if there are other recipes in this book that use it or whatever, but it's something we can certainly find some use for. It'd be great. Just, you know, dip some bread in it, honestly. We had a little bit of a filming issue that day. One of our camera's battery was gone and we were just busy and so we didn't get to film charring the peppers. So that's not really part of the recipe, but the bell peppers are roasted, peeled, and cut up, supposedly into strips. I cut mine into more easy to eat pieces. But we've done that before on this channel, so I will link that up there. But you can also substitute jarred roasted bell peppers if you prefer. I don't think it would cause much of an issue in this recipe. I think it'd be perfectly fine. And it's peeling peppers is so annoying. So annoying. All the bits stick to your fingers and anyway. So that part we didn't get to film. And we also didn't get to show you any of the charring of the okra, which my husband did for me on our charcoal grill. But you can also do in a pan, or what does she say? In like a cast iron skillet, or on a grill pan. I would probably suggest like a cast iron skillet if you're doing it inside, honestly, because you'll get a better char with that. So you just cook it on medium high heat, char them most of the way. You're looking for the char, so you don't really have to worry about that. But I do suggest only doing that with small to medium size okra. We did have some that were pretty large, and those ones were not very nice to eat this way. They get kind of stringy and woody, and they were not great. But the small ones were really tasty, and they are not at all slimy inside. Even the people, particularly my husband, who has an issue with the sliminess of okra and usually only eats it fried, had no problem with this. And it was great with the hummus. Of course, you could also serve the hummus with anything you normally serve hummus with. We also got some, actually I made some flatbread, just a quick yogurt flatbread. And you could dip it with bread, you could dip it with vegetables, crackers, whatever you normally use hummus for, you could use that instead of the okra. But having the okra just seems a little bit healthier to me than bread. Anyway, so all that to say, we really liked this recipe. Butter beans are super easy to put away yourself, which I've shown you how we do that. But you can also buy them in the grocery store and cook them in the same way. In the freezer section, you can buy them. It's fine. Just do that if you don't want to put them up yourself. Or if it's the winter and you don't have any, feel free. Anyway, I'll be making this again. Even if my children don't like hummus at all, we loved it. So, and everybody else who tried it also loved it. People who like hummus, even somebody who didn't like hummus loved it. So anyway, if you've enjoyed watching me make this, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and come back and watch me make something else next week.